Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, Let's Get Coder. In today's video, we are going to be diving into JavaScript. If you're looking to learn JavaScript but trying to ease into it, then this video is perfect for you. If you are also a QA specialist, a senior or intermediate software developer, or a newbie in programming who's already good with the basics like HTML and CSS, then yeah, this video is good for you. Uh, yeah. Here's what we'll be covering in today's chapter. What is JavaScript, the history of JavaScript, the JavaScript versions, how to run JavaScript, and why JavaScript. In this section, we'll start off by defining JavaScript. JavaScript is a dynamic language that is a part of the core W3 technologies. The W3 technologies are made up of technologies like HTML, CSS, JavaScript itself, WebRTC, and XML amongst a few others. When these languages or technologies are combined, we have what we know as the W3. And JavaScript is pretty much that language of the W3 that adds the interactivity we all engage with whenever we visit a website, submit a form, or see a nice funny animation loader. However, JavaScript is not just limited to the web environment alone. We've had instances where JavaScript are being used on the server, for instance, as a variant of Node.js. We've also had instances where JavaScript are being used in mobile environments as React or Angular and all of that, right? We've also had instances where JavaScript are being used to power desktop applications like Postman, for instance, amongst a few others. So JavaScript isn't just limited to the web. In this section, we'll talk about the history of JavaScript. The history of JavaScript is actually a very funny thing, really. It sounds like something that came straight out of a movie. To be honest, I think it deserves its own film. To be honest, I really think it does. And a lot of things are centered around this character here, Brendan Eich. Brendan Eich was a developer at Netscape Communications. And during this period, Netscape Communications were in close rivalry with Microsoft. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And the funny thing is, Netscape Communications actually tasked Brendan with building a script that would, add interactivity to their web browser, Netscape Navigator. And Brendan actually developed a script called Mocha in 10 days. This Mocha would eventually become the first version of JavaScript, right? And after, so many improvements, features, and all of that went into Mocha, a year later, Mocha became Livewire, right? Still JavaScript, right? Mocha became Livewire. And this Livewire was released in the next browser Netscape Communication release, which was the Netscape Navigator 2.0, right? And during this period, the funny thing is, Microsoft actually released their own browser, which featured a different script called JScript or LiveScript. And that was very funny. That was like the whole concept around the browser was. So in a way, I could say JavaScript was actually the reason why the whole browser war things happened, right? Because when Microsoft released their own version of JScript or LiveScript as we know it, what that did was it forced developers to actually write different pieces of code or, to support how their solution, their website would behave on these two different environments, right? It was pretty much like Java and iOS in a way, right? So it forced developers to come up with new ways, new standards of, finding how to manage things around those two different environments. And then in the year 1997, Livewire or JavaScript actually adopted the ECMA standard and it had its first official name, ECMAScript, right? And what this did for it was it just introduced standardizations to the language or to the script. And year after year, so many features, improvements, and developments kept on going into it. And we started having different versions. If you look at the timeline from here, 1998, we had ECMAScript 2. Sorry about that. We had ECMAScript 3, 1999, and 2000, we had JavaScript 1.5, right? So this is pretty much the evolution or the history of JavaScript. And this trend or this timeline has been going down up until now, right? Where we have, ES Next and all of that, right? So that's pretty much the history of JavaScript. Alright, so for the final section in this video, in this tutorial, we are pretty much going to be answering why JavaScript. And the thing is, JavaScript is a very interesting language, right? And because of how dynamic it is, right? It's in high demand, really. It's in high demand because we have so many applications out there that are very, very heavily reliant on JavaScript. So many of these applications have been built from the ground up with JavaScript, right? Some of them are front-end applications, some of them are back-end applications, but a lot of applications out there are built with JavaScript. So there is high demand for JavaScript developers, right? And that's one reason why you'd probably want to learn JavaScript, or that's one reason why that I would ask you to learn JavaScript. And second thing is it's essential for web development, right? Most applications are client facing, right? You want to have users, visit your website to maybe read a blog, visit your website to buy some socks to hang on their Christmas tree or visits your website to get whatever it is, right? And for that purpose, a lot of front-end application uses JavaScript a lot, right? So in a way, JavaScript is really, really essential for web development because all those interactions that happens on the web where you click a button and some information are sent over to the server, or where you click a button and some random animation just pops up and start displaying and stuff, right? JavaScript is the glue that is holding all that, right? So JavaScript is really essential if you are trying to become a web developer, be it a front end or a full stack developer. JavaScript is essential, and that's one of the reasons why it makes sense to learn JavaScript. Another thing is JavaScript has a large ecosystem and a large community behind it, right? If you ever get stuck, I mean, before Copilots and Gemini got introduced, if you ever got stuck, there were communities like Stack Overflow you could always run to ask questions, and you are so certain that you would either find someone who had been in that same situation before, or you find someone who answers your question outrightly, right, on those environments because JavaScript has a large ecosystem and it has a large community behind it, right? Because out of JavaScript, we've developed so many packages like Axios, for instance, React, for instance, Angular, right? And each of these packages are doing very well, right? And for that reason, there's a large community behind it for support, right? Another thing is JavaScript is really easy to learn and it's easy to use, although it can, do a couple of crazy things in some ways, but yeah, JavaScript is really easy to learn and it's really easy to use too, right? And JavaScript is really, really versatile, right? So that's like the final point for me because, like we said earlier in the other sections, right? You have JavaScript running in different environments. You have it running in the web, you have it running in mobile applications, you have it running on desktop applications. So it's a very versatile language. You could do almost anything with JavaScript. Like Thanos would say, JavaScript is inevitable, right? So that's one of the reasons why I would advise or nudge you to learn JavaScript. And that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video.